Rapper and actor T.I., known to the world as the King of the South, went live recently in what many are calling one of his most emotional, revealing, and heartbreaking moments ever caught on camera. During that live stream, he said words that instantly went viral. "He stole my family." Now, the internet being the internet, those 5 words exploded across social media. Fans immediately began speculating about what or who T.I. was referring to. Was he talking about a man close to his wife, Tiny Harris? Was this a symbolic statement about someone's influence tearing his family apart? Or was it simply an emotional outburst from a man feeling betrayed and overwhelmed? In today's video, we're breaking down the entire situation. What happened during that live stream, how it connects to T.I. and Tiny's complicated relationship, how fans are reacting, and what this could mean for their family moving forward. But most importantly, we're going to dig into the real emotions behind this, the pain, the pride, and the human side that often gets lost when celebrities' lives become clickbait. To understand why this moment hit people so hard, we need to rewind. T.I. and Tamika Harris have been one of hip-hop's most well-known couples for almost 2 decades. Their relationship began in the early 2000s and quickly became the kind of partnership fans loved to watch. Tiny, already famous as part of the R&B group Escape, had her own legacy, while T.I. was building his empire as a Grammy-winning rapper, actor, and entrepreneur. Together, they looked unstoppable. Over the years, their lives became more public. Between red carpet appearances, interviews, and their reality TV show, T.I. and Tiny: The Family Hustle, the world got a glimpse into how they balanced fame, family, and business. But with that visibility came pressure. Their marriage has had its share of ups and downs, reports of infidelity, brief separations, reconciliations, and even serious legal controversies. Through it all, though, fans often saw them return to each other, which made their bond seem unbreakable. That's why when T.I. went live recently, looking visibly hurt and broken, it hit differently. This wasn't just a tabloid rumor or a reality show storyline. It felt real. You could see the pain in his eyes and hear it in his voice. He wasn't performing for views or clout. This was a man wrestling with something deeply personal. So let's talk about the live stream that started it all. Viewers who tuned in say T.I. appeared alone, speaking directly to his phone camera in a quiet room. There wasn't any music, no background noise, just his raw voice. He talked about loyalty, love, and betrayal. He said things like, "People don't understand what it feels like to build something for years and watch someone else tear it apart." Then came the line that went viral, "He stole my family." Those 5 words hit like a lightning bolt. Within minutes, clips from the livestream were being reposted on Instagram and X, sparking a wave of speculation. Fans immediately began connecting the dots, or tried to. Some believed he was referring to a man in Tiny's life. Others thought he was talking metaphorically about someone who influenced or manipulated members of his family, driving them apart. A few even wondered if it had to do with business, maybe a manager, a friend, or someone from within their inner circle who had betrayed his trust. Regardless of what he meant, one thing was clear. This was not the confident, composed T.I. the world was used to. The man in that livestream looked tired. His voice cracked at moments. He paused often, as if holding back tears. This wasn't the slick wordsmith who delivers motivational speeches on podcasts or the businessman closing deals. This was Clifford Harris, the husband, the father, the man behind the fame, and he was clearly in pain. Once the livestream ended, the internet did what it always does. It exploded. Hashtags like T.I. Live and Tiny started trending within hours. Social media filled up with clips, reaction videos, memes, and think pieces. Everyone had an opinion, and most of them were based on pure speculation. Some fans showed empathy, writing things like, "You can feel that man's hurt. He's been holding this in for a long time." Others weren't as kind, calling it attention-seeking behavior or accusing him of trying to control the narrative. A few users even claimed that T.I. might be reacting to old wounds that never healed, moments of mistrust and misunderstanding that have followed the couple for years. Meanwhile, others defended Tiny, pointing out that she hasn't said anything publicly, and that it's unfair to draw conclusions based on one emotional live stream. Her silence became its own topic. Some fans saw it as grace, choosing not to respond to drama publicly. Others saw it as confirmation that something deeper was going on behind closed doors. One thing everyone could agree on: this wasn't just gossip. It was a reminder that even the people we see as powerful and untouchable are still human. Behind the awards, the music, the money, and the fame, there are still heartbreaks, doubts, and messy emotions that can't be hidden behind filters or PR statements. If you followed T.I. and Tiny's story for a while, you know this isn't the first time their marriage has faced public scrutiny. Back in 2016, Tiny filed for divorce after years of rumors about infidelity. Fans thought that was the end, but they reconciled not long after, surprising everyone. They were seen at public events together, supporting each other's ventures, and even renewing their family's presence on reality TV. However, their relationship has always been complex. T.I. has often spoken about his struggles with fame and the pressures that come with balancing success and family life. Tiny, on the other hand, has been open about her independence and strength as a woman who built her own career long before becoming T.I.'s wife. Their dynamic has always been one of mutual respect and tension, two strong personalities navigating love in the public eye. When something like this livestream happens, it reopens old wounds in the public conversation. People start asking whether their bond can survive another emotional storm. But what makes this particular moment so compelling is that T.I. didn't lash out in anger. He wasn't yelling or pointing fingers. Instead, he spoke with sadness, like a man realizing that something sacred might be slipping away. That tone, the quiet heartbreak, is what made people stop scrolling and start listening. Let's dig into that phrase. He stole my family. What did T.I. actually mean by it? There are several interpretations floating around. The most obvious one is literal, that he might be talking about another man who's come between him and Tiny. That's the version tabloids love to run with, but there are other more nuanced readings too. Some fans think T.I. was speaking metaphorically, that he could have been referring to an outside influence or friend who's been driving a wedge between family members. Maybe he feels like someone has been whispering in Tiny's ear, turning her against him. Or perhaps it's a reference to business. Maybe someone close to the couple took advantage of their trust and created tension within the family. Others believe it could be about something deeper, like fame itself. Maybe he isn't a person at all, but a stand-in for the industry, the spotlight, or the lifestyle that's constantly pulling them apart. In that sense, he stole my family becomes a heartbreaking metaphor for what happens when your private life becomes everyone else's entertainment. No matter which way you interpret it, one thing is clear. T.I. feels like something precious has been taken from him, and he doesn't know how to get it back. Let's talk about the emotional weight of this moment. Watching a celebrity cry or vent on livestream isn't new, but when it's someone like T.I., it hits harder. He's always been the image of confidence, control, and dominance, the man who built his brand on being the boss. So when that same man goes live and exposes his vulnerability, it creates a rare moment of authenticity in a world full of carefully curated images. It also raises bigger questions about how men, especially Black men in the entertainment industry, handle emotional pain. There's often this pressure to appear strong, unshakable, and stoic. But what happens when that armor cracks? When the person who's supposed to have it all suddenly doesn't know who to trust? In that live stream, T.I. wasn't just speaking to his followers. He was speaking for every person who's ever felt betrayed by someone they loved. That's why people connected to it so strongly, because underneath all the celebrity gossip, there's a universal story about loss and heartbreak. Then there's Tiny, the other half of this story. As of now, she hasn't said anything publicly about the live stream. No posts, no interviews, no statements. For someone who's been in the spotlight as long as she has, that silence speaks volumes. Tiny has always been measured in her responses. She doesn't usually clap back online or make emotional posts. Her approach has often been to let time reveal the truth. But this time, fans are paying extra close attention. Every time she posts something unrelated, a selfie, a business promotion, a family picture, the comments fill up with questions. What's going on with you and Tip? Is it true? Are y'all okay?
And that's the thing about fame. Even when you say nothing, the silence gets interpreted. People start to fill in the blanks, creating their own versions of your story. Whether or not there's any truth behind T.I.'s words, Tiny now finds herself at the center of an emotional storm she didn't publicly start. One of the hardest parts about being a celebrity couple is that there's no true line between public and private anymore. Fans feel like they're part of your relationship. They celebrate your milestones and dissect your arguments. And when something goes wrong, they expect answers instantly. For T.I. and Tiny, that dynamic has existed for years. They've shared their family life on television, their disagreements in interviews, and their reconciliations on social media. But moments like this show the downside of that transparency. When something painful happens, you can't really deal with it privately. It becomes content. Every tear, every sigh, every sentence becomes a headline or a meme. T.I.'s emotional live stream might have been an outlet, a way to vent feelings that had nowhere else to go. But once it was out there, it stopped being just his story. It became ours, public property for the world to analyze, debate, and monetize. So where does this leave T.I. and Tiny now? That's the question everyone's asking. Some fans believe they'll find their way back to each other, just like they have before. Others think this live stream marks a breaking point, that this time the pain may be too deep to repair. But knowing their history, one thing's certain: this isn't the end of their story. Whether they reconcile, stay apart, or simply move forward in their own ways, both T.I. and Tiny have built careers based on resilience. They've overcome worse than social media speculation. Still, it's clear that something about this moment hit differently. The live stream didn't sound like a man venting over a minor disagreement. It sounded like someone mourning a loss, not of fame or fortune, but of peace. So at the end of the day, what do we really take away from all this? Maybe it's a reminder that even people who seem to have everything can still feel empty when love and trust break down. Maybe it's a lesson about the dangers of airing private pain in public. Or maybe it's just a snapshot of a man trying to process heartbreak in real time. T.I.'s words, "He stole my family," will continue to echo through social media for a while. But beneath all the speculation, the memes, and the gossip, there's a real person hurting. And regardless of who's right or wrong, that's something everyone can relate to. What do you think really happened? Do you think T.I. was talking about another man? Or was it deeper than that, something symbolic? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and stay tuned, because you already know this story isn't over.